Welcome to Education Game Basics. This is Mish McIntyre and I am your Game Master. For your own safety, please remain in your seats for the duration of the ride, with your arms and hands inside the vehicle at all times. My objective for this presentation are to introduce the class to the Lore LMS, discuss the development of my course, challenges I faced, rewards I discovered, and what I learned from this experience, and even what adventures lie in the future. Lore is an online learning tool that incorporates a Facebook-like discussion stream. Lore was originally launched as CourseKit in November 2011. The company changed its name to Lore in April 2012. The original intent was to develop an LMS that rivals Blackboard as an open source tool. But with the change to Lore, the original mission was expanded to include social groups in addition to courses. Lore is a direct marketing tool, approaching faculty and students instead of the administration. They hire 100 students to guerrilla market Lore and certain universities across the United States. In March 2013, Lore announced it had been acquired by Noodle Education. Since the purchase, Lore's functionality has begun to disappear. I will be discussing much more about Lore in the challenges section of my journey. This is an introductory course for educational shareholders to explore the possibilities of adding games to their courses. This course teaches first from a gamer's perspective. I have seen courses in game design education that are designed by non-gamers. Those courses lack the magic of gaming. You talk about games and the implications to education, but rarely do you build games during the course. This is a building course. This course is also teaching from a design perspective. You make and create as well as discuss. This is a blended course that runs 15 weeks. I have built out the first 6 weeks in the LMS to give us an idea of what the course would look like. Students would do at least 6 hours of work online per week and also have a 3-hour making studio, which they would do on campus. There are several pedagogical goals for this course. First is to immerse students with new media technology. Second is to teach the creative process, which will help students understand their own ability to make. Next is to teach the design thinking, which is the process of making and assessing your own creations. Then to teach game basic design, which focuses in on critical aspects of what is fun in a game. Finally, to provide an opportunity for educators to have their own adventure discovering how games can enhance their learning environments. Challenges were next for Lore, and there was significant limitations between the Lore LMS and the functionality that was being removed by Noodle. First, no HTML editor. As you can see here from this screenshot of syllabus section of Lore, there's no HTML editor. As a user or instructor, you cannot change font size or type, underline, or even bold. This made for a great design challenge for me. I had to create a style guide that used uppercase and lowercase type strategically to create organization in the text. Bulleted lists were non-existent, but I was able to insert special characters to create lists in only some areas. Forget type color, highlight, or background color changes. Space was my friend, and I used it strategically to separate and organize the module text. All Lore gives you is one header per block. Way to splurge, Lore. Next challenge for me was no modules, items, folders, or any other container. Lore only provides text blocks with style limitations. Lore added text blocks in the syllabus using the plus symbol. As an alternative, you may also attach a file, as I have done here. Thrilling, huh? However, you cannot add a file or photo into a text block. So placing the Start Here job aid within a Start Here text block, as would be appropriate, was not possible. This general rule of play is carried throughout Lore. You cannot add things to other things. No images to spice things up, no videos, nada. So I organized everything into text blocks, as you can see here in the screenshot. Oh, and here was another gem. The text blocks can be reordered, but the files cannot. I had added the syllabus file first, and then the Start Here file. I had to delete and upload again to get them in the right order. And there was no option to move the text files up before the course objects for the Start Here, which would be appropriate. The next challenge is the discussion board. The discussion forum, as in one big discussion forum, for everything and everyone. This is a screenshot of the discussion forum. Each post is added to the top of the forum. In the gaming world, a discussion board is a confluence of too many headphone mics and audio tracks at once. It's sort of like watching a Wimba session recording. You try to watch, but it's so confusing you totally lose track of who is talking or what everybody is talking about. It's just like this discussion board. It is one long conversation with no way to separate topics. There is a sidebar called Focus that will show you only the currently selected conversation. I'm not sure what benefit to learning or community building this discussion board would provide. This is the only area where you can post a video or a photo and text in the same place. And I guess I'll call that a win. These final challenges, and there are many more limitations and challenges for Lore LMS, but if I keep going, I will never get to the rewards. Assessments are all in the calendar and not accessible from the syllabus. The library does weird spatial movements after you add something that probably has something to do with quantum mechanics. The dashboard is quirky, and the syllabus text blocks appear and disappear depending upon the time you've been in Lore. And for an instructor, there is no gradebook. Rewards. Because of all the limitations of Lore, including no integrated course tools, I had to look into OER tools that I could utilize for that special price of free. For every weekly text block I built, I had to problem solve the activity and assessment. It became a hunt. The resource discussion thread from our class was of great inspiration. There are a few great OER listings on the web. In addition, I was able to use Google Scholar to find some of my readings for free. Others I was able to download as PDFs from our ebooks in the Healy Library. I used TED Talks to focus in on topics and to bust a few urban gaming myths. Figuring out an original icebreaker. The Donaldson and Conrad article on developing learner-led knowledge generating online communities was instrumental in my understanding of community building. I knew how important online community was, but had no idea how to develop and to sustain it. The icebreaker activity was really critical in setting a tone for the class. I cannot overwhelm the students with gaming speak, and I was so tired of seeing icebreaker activities as the introduce yourself wiki types. I hunted down all types of icebreakers per the internet Google search, but came up with a bunch of ho-hum and so-so activities. I was able to create a character-based icebreaker activity, wrapping in the ideas of avatar and fiction, which we use in gaming. So far, I have received rave reviews from my peers. It's a powerful way to set the appropriate tone for the course, and I wouldn't have looked at how the icebreaker plays a role in the class if I had not really read the Donaldson and Conrad article. The last reward that I'd like to talk about is, for me, developing my education game basic course. I discovered a parallel designing process. Game designers do not use Dick and Carey, but they do use ADDIE and other contemporary instructional models to design games. Using the ARCS method from the Dick and Carey is almost the same process for identifying the audience for game design and graphic design. So I found it very, very helpful to be able to use the ARCS method in my design documentation. These moments of learning are connecting the dots between my experiences in game design, graphic design, education, and now instructional design. It's almost as if I'm putting the last pieces of a giant jigsaw puzzle together. The moral of the story: most of my learning experience points comes from the reading resources we had in class. Kevin Cruz refreshed my experience from 601 about building strong objectives. The relationship between object activity and assessment is key to keeping students on track and completing learning goals. I was able to put in practice theories on community building, both from Paloff and Pratt and Donaldson and Conrad, as well as align my learning theories of social constructivism and connectivism. It's the first time I've been able to create a product that integrates all of those strategies. Interactivity and just plain variations of activity types were also a learning moment for me. I have been promoting interactive video as a better engagement tool for a long time. It was nice to see the evidence come full circle with Fahey in Chapter 7 in Theory and Practice of Online Learning. I despise lecture capture, as in the lecture that was recorded with no interactive elements. Boring. Investigating more on transactional distance, I ran into the work of Moore. I highly recommend him. Interesting work, and I have a link here if you are interested. Moore is very applicable to online learning and helps to substantiate Fahey's work on interactivity. Oh yeah, and one more really important lesson: don't use lore. For the win. To wrap up, overall this course is a solid win for me. What will I do in the future? I would like to try the same course setup in Moodle. Push Moodle to be adaptive as possible and integrate the OER just like lore. I'm presenting a mini workshop using this course at Suffolk University Tech Symposium later in this month, and I look forward to receiving more peer review about the course and how it is accepted at the Tech Symposium. Also, I was chosen for a grant on gameful learning next academic year at Suffolk University. I will be using this course and everything I learned in 619 as part of that grant. I'm going to push the boundaries of gameful learning and see where we can go. And finally, I will be investigating the relationship between design thinking theory and instructional design. Can we apply design thinking to instructional design? What system module would this create? Now our ride is coming to a close. Please remember to take all belongings with you as you exit the ride.